Off-White is a character newly introduced in House of the Dragon Season 2, and his story in the show is only just beginning. Season 2 of House of the Dragon brought in many new characters and plenty of new dragons as the Dance of Dragons got officially underway. Dragon math became a real consideration for the Greens and Blacks in Season 2, with the leaders of each faction realizing that the flying beasts would decide the wars between men. Kristen Cole, Fabian Frankel, saw this firsthand at the Battle of Rook's Rest. With the death of Rhaenys, Eve Best, and Millys, and the damage done to Sunfire, Rhaenyra, Emma Darcy, realizes that her dragons alone will not be able to stop Vhagar if she and Aemond, Ewan Mitchell, decide to attack. So begins the sowing, a series of violent introductions of the unclaimed dragons of House Targaryen to the nobles and peasants of Westeros. Though many people perish, Rhaenyra and the Blacks end Season 2 with 3 new dragon riders. 4 if Rhaena ends up claiming Sheepstealer. 1. Ulf-White has a larger story still to play. Ulf-White is a dragon seed. Ulf-White is a dragon seed. Dragon seeds are bastards of House Targaryen, often noted for their silvery or white hair. Ulf has a much larger introduction in House of the Dragon, whereas in Fire and Blood, he simply shows up along with the other dragon seeds to try and claim one of the dragons. He first appears in Season 2, Episode 2, Rhaenyra the Cruel. Ulf steals a potato from a basket and then wanders into the area where King Aegon Ivu, Tom Glencarny, has hung the rat catchers, a sight that clearly upsets him. He's next found in a tavern, where he's asked by his friends to recount the story of his parentage to Hammer Kieran View. Ulf claims that he is the bastard son of Prince Balon Targaryen, the father of Daemon, Matt Smith, and Viserys Paddy Considine, which would make Ulf their half-brother. While Ulf ends up admitting he's not sure if the story is true, he doesn't tell it to gain plaudits from his drunken friends. He's holding on to this idea as a hopeful wish for a better life. Notably, this is all information new to the character. George R.R. Martin's book only states that Ulf was a man-at-arms in King's Landing. It's an unimpressive title, but one that paints him as having some bit of a military background. Ulf claims Silverwing during the sowing. In Fire and Blood, it's simply said that Ulf claimed the dragon Silverwing around the same time Hugh claimed Vermithor. In House of the Dragon, Ulf learns that Rhaenyra is asking dragon seeds to come to Dragonstone for the sowing. It's the offer of a lifetime, and though initially fearful, acknowledging his story may not be true, Ulf is eventually galvanized into going. During the sowing in Season 2, Episode 7, The Red Sowing, Ulf is among the many dragon seeds brought before Vermithor. When the dragon rejects his suitors and massacres those present, Ulf is knocked into the pit. There, he flees deeper into the cave system, away from the rampaging Vermithor. As he steps into a large hollowed-out tunnel, he doesn't notice the massive animal raising her head behind him. Silverwing is one of the largest living dragons, though she is also considered one of the more even-tempered. Ulf accepts his fate as the dragon bumps him to the ground, but the dragon does not attack, and Ulf-White claims the mighty Silverwing. He's next seen flying the dragon over King's Landing, yelping, and laughing at the incredible experience of flying on the back of the legendary beast. It's also a lure for Aemond and Vhagar, and when the larger dragon gives chase, Ulf brings him back to Dragonstone. There, Aemond is confronted by Vermithor, Seasmoke, Syrax, and Silverwing, forcing Aemond to turn tail. The Blacks grants Ulf titles and land for his actions. This is where House of the Dragon ends and Fire and Blood picks up. It's hinted that a major battle will open House of the Dragon Season 3. In the battle in the Gullet, the Black Fleet meets the Green Fleet and their triarchy allies in the Gullet that leads to Blackwater Bay and King's Landing. a strategically critical location. This brutal battle sees the death of some key characters and the near destruction of the Valerian fleet. It's the arrival of Ulf, Hugh, Adam Balerion, Clinton Liberty, and Nettles on Sheepstealer that the Blacks save the rest of their ships. This is a major turning point in the war, and many people on Dragonstone begin to resent Rhaenyra after these events. While Adam and Nettles, likely Rhaena in the show, feel terrible about the events of the battle, Ulf revels in the victory, unperturbed by the death and Rhaenyra's personal losses. This victory and others earn Ulf the knighthood he so rudely sought in Season 2, Episode 8, The Queen Whoever Was. He also gains land along Driftmark, but once more, egged on by Daemon, who suggests Rhaenyra grant Ulf Storm's End. This only heightens Ulf's ambitions, and soon he begins to see himself as above even Rhaenyra, considering that if he has a dragon, he should be given all the titles, lands, and riches that those who ride dragons are usually awarded. It's around this time that Ulf's discontentment grows. Ulf turned traitor at the First Battle of Tumbleton. Late into the conflict, Hugh and Ulf are sent to Tumbleton to defend the city from the approaching Hightower host. For reasons that remain unknown in Fire and Blood, Hugh and Ulf suddenly switched sides and turned their dragons on the town they were supposed to defend, beginning and ending the First Battle of Tumbleton. It was another one-sided massacre, and after the town's capitulation, Ulf began acting as a mini-king, demanding food, gold, and women from the inhabitants of what remained of Tumbleton. While the assembled Greens were pleased with the turn of events, the nobles did not approve of Ulf's self-coronation, nor how he conducted himself during the sacking of the town. A group of lords from the Reach were particularly offended and hatched a plot to kill the dragon seeds. Ulf White is assassinated by the Caltrops. The Caltrops were a band of 13 nobles from the Reach who plotted to kill Hugh and Ulf after realizing their ambitions for glory and power would eventually hamper the Greens' own plans for defeating Rhaenyra and the Blacks. They planned to kill the baseborn riders and claim the dragons for the Blacks. Before they could set their plan into motion, Adam on Seasmoke and the Rivermen arrived to kickstart the Second Battle of Tumbleton. During the fighting, one of the Caltrops, Sir John Roxton, slew Hugh before he was killed by Hugh's men. Ulf was drunk the night before and slept through the battle. The next morning, one of the 4 surviving Caltrops, Hobart Hightower, met with Ulf to plan the next course of action. He brought a poisoned cask of wine with him. Suspicious, Ulf told Hobart to drink first, and so he did. Now convinced, Ulf helped himself to 3 glasses of wine before he fell asleep and died. Silverwing, the only surviving dragon of Tumbleton, became one of the few surviving dragons of the dance, and flew off the Red Lake in the Reach, becoming feral forever after. Tom Bennett plays Ulf White in House of the Dragon. Though it may not be obvious in House of the Dragon yet, Ulf White plays a critical role in the dance. He's portrayed by Tom Bennett in the series in an amusing and multi-dimensional performance. Bennett is an English actor who originally was probably best known for his work on the London stage. However, he has had a few other notable acting performances, including as Miles Leonard in AP Bio and the Nonce in Afterlife. In film, he appeared in Rocketman as Fred, Mascots as Owen Golly, Jr. and David Brent, Life on the Road as Nigel Martin. Bennett's performance as Ulf adds layers to a character who in the book is fairly one-dimensional. Ulf is a braggart, but he is also wounded by his station in life. He doesn't just want to be a Targaryen for fame, he wants meaning. Ulf is rude and uncouth, but he's also beloved and charming. He may make mistakes at a royal dinner, but they are only because he doesn't know any better. The end of House of the Dragon Season 2 begins to position Ulf as a troublesome individual, but there's still something relatable and human about Ulf White.